how it was portrayed that Eazy-E was like, he was like broke and like stressing, like when he died, because like we didn't get that from him at all. Like he was on a Easy was riding on the high because he knew he had us,
Okay,
and he knew we was about to ride. We was about to bring him back.
He had real backup.
Oh yeah, it's still like people still ride for Eazy. Like you know what I'm saying?
Cut your head off, leave it on the porch type backup.
Straight Outta Compton blew up when it dropped, a total fan favorite that crushed the box office and had critics hyped up. It looked like a complete win for everyone involved. But behind all that success, a storm was brewing. A lot of fans, and even some people who were part of the real story, had major issues with how the movie showed Eazy-E. The film painted him as soft, broke, and easy to control, which is wild because the real Eazy-E was nothing like that. The man was a boss, confident, and always held his own. So let's talk about this showdown. Straight Outta Compton versus real life. One of the most talked about moments in the movie is Eazy's final days. There's that emotional scene where he finds out he has HIV and breaks down crying. It hits hard on screen, no doubt, but people who were really there say that's not how it happened at all.
Hook up with Eazy-E, cause I mean, you're on Ruthless Records now.
Yeah, we plugged up with the homie 3 years ago. He heard our music through some other people. He found out we real from the streets, you know. So he wanted to with us.
Members of Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, who were with Eazy until the very end, say the movie totally twisted that moment. They claim Eazy didn't crumble the way the film made it look. He didn't sit there crying or fall apart emotionally. Instead, they say he faced it like the same strong Eazy he'd always been. Now, that doesn't mean he wasn't hurting. Of course he was. He was young, on top of his game, and still had so much ahead of him. Anyone would feel that pain. But those closest to him remember something completely different from the over-the-top version Hollywood gave us. Another scene in Straight Outta Compton that had people seriously heated was that part where Eazy's driving alone, tearing up as he passes a billboard for Dr. Dre's The Chronic. The message couldn't be clearer. Dre's up, Eazy's down, broke, and brokenhearted. That single shot made fans furious because it summed up exactly what many thought the movie got wrong about the end of Eazy's story. Jerry Heller, Eazy's longtime manager, didn't hold back at all. He said Eazy was a solid dude, tough as nails, and of course he would never, ever cry. To Heller, those moments in the movie felt like a straight-up character hit, and since Dre and Ice Cube helped produce the film, that only fueled the idea that they shaped the story their way, while Eazy wasn't here to speak for himself or check how he was portrayed. The movie even takes it further, showing Eazy bagging up weed like he'd fallen back to hustling just to get by. That's where Eazy's own son, Lil Eazy-E, had to step in and clear the record. He said the film made it look like his dad was broke and struggling when it was actually the total opposite. According to him, Eazy was living in the biggest mansion he'd ever owned at that time, surrounded by success, luxury, and platinum plaques everywhere. B.G. Knockout, one of Eazy's close friends, backed that up too. He completely shut down the whole Eazy fell off storyline, calling it flat out false. B.G. said Eazy had real money, cash in the bank, multiple houses, and a label that had pulled in hundreds of millions over the years.
Yeah, that whole community is always loved Bone, and we love them back, and we appreciate them, and we're always out there in their venues and things of that nature. That keep us going. So for sure, because you know Eazy had real backup.
Oh yeah, it's still like people still ride for Eazy. Like you know what I'm saying?
Cut your head off, leave it on the porch type backup.
These guys ain't rappers. These guys are real gangsters. Because I worked with other gangster rappers. These guys are real.
That Hard Times image, total fiction, according to the people who actually knew him best. And let's not forget, Eazy had the #1 group in the whole country at that time with Bone Thugs-n-Harmony. He wasn't just surviving, he was thriving, running the game and stacking wins everywhere. When Eazy passed in 1995, reports said his net worth was anywhere between $8 million and $35 million. And some insiders even claimed it could have been closer to $50 million. That's no small change. Ruthless Records alone was said to be pulling in up to $10 million a month at one point. That's serious money flowing nonstop. Here's the wild part the movie totally skipped. Eazy was still making cash off Dr. Dre even after Dre left Ruthless. Suge Knight even once bragged, "I did a deal for Eazy. He gets $1 off anything that Dre does." That means every time Dre dropped something, Eazy was getting paid. Eazy even called it out himself on Real Motherfucking G's when he rapped, "Damn E, they tried to fade you on Dre Day, but Dre Day only meant Eazy's payday." He wasn't lying. That was real business. And then there's that controversial studio scene in the movie, the one showing Suge Knight slapping Eazy around and forcing him to sign away Dre and the DOC from Ruthless. According to Jerry Heller, that never happened. It's straight up fiction. He said Eazy would have never even shown up at that studio if Suge had called him like that. Sure, Suge did threaten Eazy in real life, but nobody ever laid a hand on him. Heller said Eazy was way too connected, too respected, and had too much power in the streets for anyone to try something like that without paying a serious price. That emotional hospital reunion scene in Straight Outta Compton might have hit viewers hard, but according to people who really knew the story, it was pure Hollywood magic. In the film, Dre and Ice Cube show up at Eazy's bedside. The tension disappears, old wounds heal, and N.W.A gets a full circle reunion right before Eazy's death. It's a touching ending.
So fortunate to be able to get on the phone with him and talk about maybe putting the N.W.A back together, and we chopped it up about old times and what have you. So the last time I actually saw him, he didn't know I was in the room. He was on life support, you know? So I just reached down and whispered a few words in his ear.
But mostly fantasy. Ice Cube and Eazy did make peace, but not in a hospital room. It actually went down months earlier at a club in New York. According to Crazy Bone, it was nothing but love when they saw each other. Smiles, jokes, and genuine conversation all around. That moment was real, but it didn't happen the way the movie showed it. Now, when it comes to Dre, that part gets messy. Dre has said publicly that he did visit Eazy in the hospital, claiming they even talked about bringing N.W.A back together before Eazy got sick. He said he leaned in close and whispered a few words to him while Eazy was on life support. Sounds emotional, right? But several people who were actually there say it never went down like that. Things get even more questionable when you look at the timing. Around that same period, Dre was still throwing shade at Eazy on tracks. On Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style, there's a skit mocking Eazy. Daz Dillinger calling him HIV Eazy, and Dre finishing with Easy Come, Easy Go. That dropped before the public even knew Eazy had HIV. And here's the twist, Eazy was still firing back. In 1995, just before he was hospitalized, he was in the studio recording a track called DPG Killer, sending shots at Dre and Death Row. But his cough got worse, and he couldn't finish the verse. Even in his final days, Eazy was still fighting to tell his side of the story. Strong, fearless, and never backing down. The movie totally skips over all of that and instead paints Eazy like he's broken, beaten down, and left behind.
Everywhere he went, he called his Mexicans. He called his brown brothers. Where you at? What's cracking? Swoop up over here, come in the Lolos. He be in Beverly Hills at an expensive restaurant. 20 Mexicans drive up. 20 Chicanos, Mexican, Latinos drive up. Hoping we ran into somebody from that row. Hoping. Because we wanted to make a statement. We wanted to make a statement.
While Dre and Cube walk off looking like the heroes. But that version of Eazy, that's not the real story at all. The real Eazy-E was way more than just a rapper or a label boss. He was a true street figure, respected and connected long before fame ever came his way. People who actually knew that world understood Eazy moved on a different level. His energy, his presence, it carried real weight. His conflicts weren't just about rap or record deals. They went way deeper than that. A lot of people don't even realize it, but Eazy wasn't only beefing with other artists. He was caught up in something far darker and more dangerous. Just weeks before his death, Eazy dropped a bomb in one of his last interviews. He claimed that hate groups like the Ku Klux Klan and neo-Nazi skinheads had literally put a bounty on his head. He even said those same groups had targeted Rodney King. According to Eazy, it wasn't just about him or any one person. The goal was to stir up chaos and start something big and ugly across the country. He believed they wanted to spark a full-blown race war in America, and somehow he ended up right in the middle of it. That's how real things had gotten for him in those final months.
And all of a sudden, them 7, 8 looked around like,
We're surrounded.
they thought they were at a Mexican soccer field surrounded by Mexican soccer players, but it was us. I said, what's up, man? You motherfuckers got beef with my brother Eazy? They were like, oh, damn. You motherfuckers got beef with my little brother Eazy? You got beef with me, motherfuckers. And then my little homie started coming out with the heat. They were like, no.
So when you look at it that way, it's clear this wasn't just music drama or industry beef. It was way bigger than that. We're talking about organized hate, tied to real people with real violent intentions. And in the early 90s, law enforcement was already tracking one name connected to it all, a 20-year-old from Long Beach named Christopher David Fisher. Christopher David Fisher was no small-time troublemaker. Prosecutors said he was running with a violent skinhead crew known as the Fourth Reich, and what they claimed he was planning sounded straight out of a nightmare. Their so-called mission? To start a race war, pure chaos with a twisted, hateful blueprint. Investigators said the plan was terrifying. They wanted to target the First AME Church, attack Rodney King, and set off a wave of violence meant to split Los Angeles apart. It wasn't just talk. They had real weapons, real hate, and real intent to bring destruction to the city. Fisher's case shocked everyone. He was considered so dangerous that when it went before a judge, bail was completely denied, even when his own parents begged and promised to keep him under 24-hour watch. The court didn't buy it for a second. Prosecutors said he even bragged about tossing a Molotov cocktail at a synagogue in Westminster. The fire didn't spread because of the rain, but what he left behind was horrifying. Swastikas sprayed on the walls and the words, "Die Jew pigs," scrawled in paint. It didn't stop there. Fisher was also accused of pipe bombing the home and car of an Asian high school student in Lakewood. He allegedly tried to take credit for other bombings too, one aimed at a member of the Spur Posse and another at a black man just going about his life. The violence was spreading and he seemed to thrive on it. And here's where it connects straight back to Eazy-E. Federal agents came out and said it clearly. Rap singer Eazy-E was on their target list. Alongside him were Reverend Cecil Murray from the First AME Church, activist Danny Bakewell from the Brotherhood Crusade, and of course, Rodney King. So when Eazy said people were after him, he wasn't just being paranoid, he was literally named in a federal investigation as a marked target. The amount of detail in those hate-filled plots was terrifying. One of the skinheads even described how Reverend Murray would be attacked in the middle of his own sermon. The danger was real, and Eazy was caught in the middle of a world way darker than anyone imagined. According to investigators, the plan was chilling. They wanted to open fire on the congregation right as Reverend Murray said the words, "Justice will be done." That's how twisted and calculated it was. And if they plotted something that detailed for a church full of people, you already know they must have had a plan lined up for Eazy too. Federal agents eventually caught on to the Fourth Reich skinheads after an 18-month undercover operation. What they uncovered was straight up insane. These guys were buying weapons, trading bombs, and planning violent attacks like it was an everyday hustle. Undercover agents even managed to buy 4 pipe bombs directly from Fisher. When they raided his stash, they found rifles, bayonets, and even a Molotov cocktail. These weren't just talkers. They had real firepower, real hate, and a real hit list. Now imagine this. You're Eazy-E, and the feds come to you saying your name is literally sitting on a white supremacist kill list. That's not just stress. That's life or death pressure on a whole different level. But here's the twist. Even though Eazy was marked, he was never alone. Compton had his back, for real. It wasn't just the South Side Crips, who everyone already knew he had ties with. It went deeper than that. Word on the streets was that some of the Mexican gangs were riding for him harder than anyone else. These guys had real respect for Eazy, not because of fame or money, but because of how he carried himself and gave back to the streets that raised him. Eazy reportedly said it himself. If those skinheads ever came for him, the Mexicans would have gone to war in the streets of Compton to protect him. That's how much loyalty and love he commanded out there. Respect that couldn't be faked or bought. That's how deep that loyalty ran. It wasn't just about business, it was about family. Eazy's ties to the Mexican community went way further than most people ever realized. Long before he was signing legendary Chicano rap groups or working with Latino artists, Eazy already had strong bonds with the homies in the neighborhood. One of his closest early friends was Damon Trujillo, better known as Crazy D, a Mexican-American who was right there with Eazy during the first wave of N.W.A. If you look closely at the cover of N.W.A. and the Posse, their first album, you'll spot something that confused fans for years. The whole image of N.W.A. was Nubians with attitudes. So when people saw a Mexican dude front and center in the lineup, they were like, wait, who's that? Some even thought it was edited or that a random guy snuck into the photo. But nope, it was real. That was Crazy D standing proud with the crew, not some extra thrown in for style.
Told Shuggy was going to cut him up in little pieces and put him in dumpsters all around the city.
All I can tell you is we reached an understanding that nobody was coming to the office without an appointment.
And he wasn't just there to fill space either. At that time, he was actually more active in the music than some of the guys who would later become N.W.A. legends. For example, MC Ren, who would go on to be one of the cornerstones of the group, was only in that first photo because he happened to be hanging out with the crew that day. Crazy D, though, was in it for real. He was contributing to the music, helping shape that early N.W.A. sound. He's even officially credited on their first single ever, Panic Zone. That credit alone proves just how genuine and deep Eazy's connection to the Mexican community was from the very start. And Eazy never forgot that bond. As his career grew, he made sure to keep showing love, eventually signing the Chicano rap group Brownside. According to Toker, one of the members, a mutual acquaintance, put Eazy onto their music, and the moment he heard it, he knew they had something special. That's how real his connection with the culture was, built on respect, not trends. Once Eazy heard Brownside's music, he was all in. He wanted to meet them right away, and when they finally linked up face to face, the connection was instant. Under Eazy's wing, Brownside didn't just make music. They helped pioneer an entire wave of Chicano rap, shaping its sound, its look, and the raw street energy that made it stand out. But don't get it twisted. Brownside wasn't just some group trying to chase trends or ride Eazy's name. These were real street figures, respected and feared in their own right. People who were around back then said just being in the same room with Brownside could make you tense up. Their presence was powerful. Their energy was heavy. You didn't cross them, and you definitely didn't test them. That was part of what drew Eazy to them. He saw something familiar. That same loyalty, unity, and code of respect that ran deep in the Latino gangs. Eazy admired how they moved, tight-knit, loyal, and ready to ride for each other no matter what. To them, your homies were your family. And if it came down to it, they'd go to war for you without hesitation. One of the wildest stories that shows just how far that loyalty went comes straight from the height of the Ruthless records versus Death Row tension. Toker, one of Brownside's members, once told how his crew ended up protecting Eazy during that chaotic time. According to Toker, one day he and the Brownside crew pulled up to Ruthless Records completely unplanned, right when things between Death Row and Eazy were at their most dangerous. He said it felt like fate, like they were meant to show up at that exact moment. Word on the street was that Suge Knight's camp thought Eazy was isolated and vulnerable. But when Brownside appeared, that whole idea disappeared real quick. Their presence sent a loud message. Eazy wasn't alone, and anyone thinking about pressing him better think twice. Death Row thought they could press Eazy, but the moment they saw Brownside in the picture, that idea vanished fast. Wherever Eazy went, business meetings, restaurants, parties, or big industry events, he always rolled deep with Brownside and his Mexican homies. And these weren't just bodyguards or hype men for show. These were real ones, ready to ride at any moment. They didn't come for the clout, they came for loyalty. Brownside wasn't backing down from anyone. In fact, they wanted the smoke. They were hoping to cross paths with Death Row's crew just to prove their loyalty to Eazy in real life, not just in words. And eventually, that moment came. Toker told one of the craziest stories about it. Eazy was just chilling at the Cheesecake Factory, trying to enjoy a normal day like anybody else. Out of nowhere, 7 or 8 guys who claimed to be with Death Row showed up and surrounded him. They tried to intimidate him, acting like they had Eazy cornered and outnumbered. But what they didn't realize was that Eazy was never really alone. In seconds, the entire scene flipped. Out of nowhere, Mexican gang members poured into the restaurant. The place got packed instantly. Toker said it felt like being in the middle of a crowded soccer field, except every single face around them was Latino, locked in and ready to move if things went left. That moment showed exactly why nobody could ever catch Eazy slipping. His respect ran deep across different communities, and when things got real, the streets always showed up for him. The Cheesecake Factory showdown became legend. After that day, everybody knew not to play with Eazy-E. Word on the streets spread quick, and even people tied to Death Row started to realize that any move against him would come with real consequences. Eazy wasn't untouchable because of fame. He was untouchable because he had love, loyalty, and protection from all corners of the city. But even with that power, something started to shift. Around this time, Eazy began to move different, a little quieter, more cautious. People close to him said he started feeling like something wasn't right, like there were eyes on him everywhere he went. His instincts were sharp, and when he felt danger, he didn't ignore it. Toker once said Eazy started skipping certain meetings, ducking events, and keeping his circle tighter than ever. He wasn't paranoid, he was smart. Between the federal investigations, the skinhead threats, and the ongoing tension with Death Row, it made sense for him to be on edge. Still, Eazy never lost that fearless spark. He kept working, kept building, and even started planning a massive Ruthless Records comeback. He was talking about signing new artists, dropping fresh projects, and expanding his empire beyond rap. People close to him said he had new business ventures lined up, legit ones that could have changed the whole game for him. But then, almost out of nowhere, his health started failing fast. At first, no one knew what was going on. Eazy thought it was just a bad cough. Within days, it got worse. He checked into Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles, thinking it'd be a quick recovery. But what happened next shocked everyone. Rumors started flying instantly.
His response was to hire an ex-Israeli Special Forces dude named Klein, who helped organize a defense against...
Fans, friends, and insiders all had their theories. Some believed it was natural. Others whispered it was something more sinister. The timing, the speed, the mystery. It didn't sit right with a lot of people. Once Eazy checked into the hospital, everything moved at lightning speed. Too fast for comfort. He was admitted with what doctors said was a bad case of bronchitis, but within days, that diagnosis changed completely. Suddenly, the news broke that Eazy-E had been diagnosed with HIV/AIDS, and just like that, the narrative flipped overnight. People couldn't believe how quickly it all happened. From walking, talking, and planning new deals, to being bedridden in what felt like a blink. Friends, family, and fans were stunned. Eazy had never publicly shown any signs of being sick, and now he was in critical condition. The announcement hit the world hard, especially because it came right at the height of his plans for a major comeback. Some said it didn't add up. The speed, the secrecy, the timing, it all felt off. Within weeks, Eazy's health took a sharp dive. People close to him said they barely recognized him. The transformation was heartbreaking. Yet even in those last moments, he was still trying to keep his empire together. Reports say he was dictating business moves from his hospital bed, making sure his artists and family would be looked after. That's how dedicated he was, fighting until the very end. But the mystery surrounding his death only grew louder. The official story said complications from AIDS, but not everyone bought it. Too many questions lingered, like how it came out of nowhere, how none of his previous partners tested positive, and how someone so street smart could fall victim without a clue. Then came the whispers. Talk about betrayal, revenge, even poisoning. Some insiders believed Eazy was set up by someone close. Others thought it was tied to old enemies. The conspiracy theories caught fire, and decades later, people are still debating what really happened in that hospital room. Every single one of them was ready to ride for Eazy. No hesitation, no fear. The Death Row affiliates figured out fast that they were way outnumbered and seriously outmatched. Whatever intimidation plan they thought they had instantly blew up in their faces. They scrambled to their cars and sped off like their lives depended on it. Because at that moment, they probably did. And just to make sure the message hit home, Toker shouted after them, "If you want to come back, you're more than welcome. We'll be right here waiting." That right there sealed it. Eazy wasn't the one to mess with, not in business, and definitely not in the streets. But here's the part that most people still don't know. Beyond his strong Mexican ties, Eazy also had a completely different kind of connection. Something straight out of an action movie. He reportedly had ties to Israeli special forces, the kind of people who don't need hype or intros because everyone already knows they're the real deal. At the height of the Ruthless Records versus Death Row chaos, Eazy and Jerry Heller decided they were done playing defense. They wanted real protection. So they brought in Mike Klein, a former Israeli Special Forces operative who didn't play games. And this wasn't your average bodyguard setup. Klein was on a whole different level. According to Jerry's cousin, Gary Ballin, the first time he ever saw Klein was in a photo where the guy was literally holding up two severed heads. That alone tells you the kind of energy he brought to the table. No fear, no hesitation, just pure control. Klein didn't roll solo either. He came with a crew of equally intense specialists who instantly became Ruthless Records' new security team. Eazy loved Klein. He respected that Rambo-style presence. The man was skilled in hand-to-hand combat, an expert marksman, and always calm under pressure. The kind of calm that made everyone else nervous. One of Eazy's other bodyguards, known as Animal, admitted that at first he didn't take Klein seriously, until he saw him at the shooting range. Klein never missed a bullseye and kept that eerie smile on his face no matter how tense things got. Word on the street says Klein even confronted Suge Knight directly. One version claims he told Suge straight up if he ever showed up uninvited again, he'd be leaving in a box. Another version says Klein warned he'd chop him up and scatter him around the city. Either way, the message landed loud and clear. Suge was not welcome anywhere near Eazy or Ruthless Records. Once Klein and his team came into the picture, Suge's grip started slipping fast. And that's exactly why the Suge bullying Eazy scene in Straight Outta Compton never made sense to people who actually knew what was going down. In real life, that kind of move would have come with serious consequences. No matter how Hollywood twisted the story, one thing stands unshakable: Eazy-E's legacy. He changed hip-hop forever, built empires, and inspired generations. No script or spin can erase what he built or what he stood for. If you enjoyed diving into the real story behind Straight Outta Compton and Eazy-E's truth, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment with your thoughts. Let's keep this conversation alive. And as always, see you in the next one.